Hey to those who couldn't make Zoom yesterday. Sorry about the technical glitches. Yeah, I ended up having to create another meeting because I couldn't get back in after losing connection. Anyway, I thought I'd just go over the assessment task in a bit of detail so that you're on the same page as everyone else. So this is a document that I sent out to you in an email. It's tasks 6 and 7 joined together, 7 being the script portion, but 6 being the presentation side of it. So I want to go into a little bit of detail because it's a little bit different to presentation task 4. So the first presentation that you are submitting this Sunday. So this one is focused on interpretation. And interpretation, I've provided a link down here, but which will go into a bit of detail talking about these 4 key points: thematic, organized, relevant, enjoyable. Now I've already been alluding to these 4 points for all your presentations, but this is the presentation where I really want to see that. So there's less emphasis on slides. In fact, I prefer that you don't use slides for this, or if you do use slides, it's only using them at the relevant times during your presentation, and it's more about your presenting style. So yeah, I'll scroll down and go through what we're looking for in a moment. But essentially, students are to prepare an interpretation presentation focused on a topic within their allocated region. Now, for trainees, I need to know from you whether you're going to focus on your YMCA location or whether you're going to focus on the region that I've allocated you. The idea there is that if you focus on your YMCA region, you then have the opportunity to gather and create a program that you could potentially run with groups when they come through. So, I mean, you could walk through your YMCA and talk to them about, you know, locals, same sort of topics. So the same sort of topics that we've been talking about with the other region, but you essentially have the opportunity to create a program that you are more likely to actually run with a group. It could be a night walk looking for nocturnal animals. It could be, yeah, looking at plant species. It could be talking about local impacts and things like that. So yeah, have a think about whether you want to make it specific to your YMCA region or whether you want to make it more specific to the allocated region. Either or is fine. So the presentation or program, same as the other one, okay? So I want you to have really clear structure with 3 to 4 main points, okay? 3 is better, but 4 is fine, okay? So really clear introduction. I've got down below what is required in the introduction, nothing new compared to what I talked about last week. But yeah, introduction, 3 key points, and then moving into your conclusion. Okay, so I want you to develop a theme, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. And I want you to have a clear call to action or take home message. So the best thing to do in order to start your program is to have a clear purpose to your program. So why have you created this program? What do you hope to achieve from it? What do you want your audience to, to know, or to how you want them to behave? Or, you know, these programs are developed to make people aware, to make people care about issues, so then they care about the place that you're creating connection. So really, I want you to, that should be one of the first things you do. Okay, you think, oh, I really want to talk about this topic, or I know I want to talk about animals, or I know I want to talk about plants, or whatever it is you choose you want to talk about. Then have a think about why. Do I want them to be aware of the local animal species, like the local bird population in this area? Do I want them to know how to identify certain animals or scats and tracks? Or yeah, you want to have a key purpose. Do I want them to know how to behave in order to help protect their habitat? Right, so that's early on in your preparation. All right, so I want you to watch this YouTube clip. Kelsey Toner, the guy from Be a Better Guide, we've watched a couple of his already, but he and another woman, they go into those 4 key areas. So have a look at that. And then students are asked to get creative, to use props, to share phone apps, visual aids, change of scene, activities, or costume to deliver their program in an engaging and enjoyable way. Enjoyable is bold and in brackets because it's one of the key points up here, okay? The students can go into an open space, park, nearby reserve to set the scene as though they and the audience were in the allocated location. So I've given some examples down here about ways to make it engaging, to move around, to use visual aids. I don't want you just standing there and holding up a picture and talking about it. I want you to get a little bit creative. So the examples I've given are students may choose to place some pictures of what they're talking about outside. So let's say you've got your 3 key points, you've got a picture that depicts those 3 key points, and you put them into different areas around a park or reserve or your backyard. And you do your introduction, and you say, like, it may be a bit of a, all right guys, we're going to go on a bit of a hunt today. We're looking for a couple of animals. The first one, give them a few clues about what it looks like. All right, let's go have a look. You might cut your filming and then retake at your first location where your first picture is. Hey, look what I've come across. And then go into detail about the information around it. Now, I don't want you to be untrue to yourself. I want you to be genuine in the way you present. So don't think you have to take on a role that is not yourself or that you don't feel comfortable with. I want you to be true to you, true to yourself in your delivery of the information, but have a bit of fun, get into character with your costume, or even just creating that credible title. So put on a ranger's hat and you're still you, but you've taken on the role as a ranger. So you're automatically credible. Hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm a ranger in this park, and today I'm going to take you on a little bit of a hunt for 3 different species of marsupials. Okay, and the other example I've given, students may, like as additional aids, students may have recordings of animal noises to guide them to find the pictures, to then talk about each. That's just another additional thing you might do. I mentioned Scats and Tracks earlier. That's just a program that is always a bit of fun. You know, you could talk about either native Scats and Tracks or invasive. But what does, a fox's tracks look like for their footprints, and what does their poo look like? And let's go and identify some Scats and Tracks. Is this native or is this introduced? So that's just another example. So down here we've got the marking criteria. All right, so I've broken it up. So your organization and development of your program. So theme, again, I'm going to go into this in a moment. I'm going to show you an example program. But essentially it's a clear, cleverly worded statement summarizing your program. So I want you to have a think about how you can be creative with telling the audience in a really creative way what your program encapsulates. Okay, it may rhyme, it doesn't have to rhyme, but that is one way of getting a little bit creative. But I'll show you an example in a moment. So I want you to develop a theme. Then your introduction. Now, I covered this the other week, and these are all the things that I mentioned. Attention grabber, relevance, credibility, main point, brief, preview statement. The body of your program, same thing. 3 main points, logical order. The use of transition statements. Now, an example of that is, just say you are on a little scavenger hunt or something like that. You will sort of have a bit of a clue for your next point, or a little bit of information to hook your audience to then either move to your next location to start your next point, or to hold up your next picture or your next prop, or yeah, however you're going to move into the next one. But a transition statement essentially is a little lead-in statement. So like I said, with a little bit of a scavenger hunt, you may say, okay, so we've found our first animal. The second one, here are a few clues. It's about this size. It eats this food. Let's go have a look for it. That was a pretty average example, but I want you to, that's what a transition statement is. So you're leading. You're not just jumping into your third point. I want you to lead us in with a transition statement. And you'll do that for your 3 points, and then you'll move into your conclusion. So revisiting the theme, although, I want you to revisit your theme throughout it. So your theme should be essentially embedded throughout your program. Summarize your main points, take home message, call to action, questions, and thank you. Presentation enhancement techniques, I've listed a whole bunch here. You don't have to use them all, but as much as you can incorporate those into your program is going to be beneficial. Presenting aids, there's a lot more than this. I've just mentioned a few. I mentioned up here the use of phone apps, and the reason I did that is for a lot of conservation organizations have developed apps where just general users of national parks or state parks, wilderness areas can identify species and log where they are. So they might help with knowing species numbers. Okay, they've heard that endangered frog and they've pinned that location. We didn't actually know there were any in that location, and they might go out and have a look at that area. So that's just one example, but there's so many apps out there that can help link the general public to those areas. So I know there's some marine conservation ones around rock pools and zoning areas and species found in rock pools and stuff like that. There's also national parks ones, parks VIP ones. So there's a lot out there, and I just thought I'd add that in because that can be a little bit of value you can add. And then presenting your content. So did you know your content well? Did you refer to key cards, cue cards? Essentially, I don't want you reading off your script. Your script is to submit and for you to sort of develop all your information, so I can see you've structured it clearly, but I don't want you reading it. So I want to see you. I want to see you. You can refer to cue cards if you need to with your main points, but essentially you have practiced and know your content. And then down below, this is referring to your script. So this is somewhat the same as the last script, but I've provided a template. Okay, so you don't have to worry too much about the activity, but if you want to talk about how you would incorporate an activity to add value or to help share information in a different way, please do. So you can use that. I'm now going to show you an example program which will hopefully help you understand what I'm looking for. So the location should be where you want the program to take place, as in the Grampians at the top of the pinnacle, Halls Gap in the Grampians, or whatever your location is. If you can be as specific as possible about where you would want to run this program, where's the most relevant spot for you to run your program within your allocated region or camp, put that there. In the resources, you might say, use the local reserve or whatever park. And then any other resources that you needed. So your visual aids, your props, your costume, anything that you needed. And then I want you to, in the script template that I've provided, I've joined the title and theme together. So it's title theme. So essentially this would be all together. So Port Phillip Bay Marine Encounters, Conservation through Education. A sailing voyage around the bay. Let's see the impacts from what we throw away. So that theme is painting a really clear picture of what this program is all about. Okay, so we're going on a sailing voyage in the bay, and it's very clear what we're going to be talking about. Okay, we throw away rubbish. So then we've got our objective, which is very clear. So you might think that the only thing your audience are going to see prior to attending the program is the theme. That's why we want to have it cleverly worded. We want it to paint a really clear picture and I guess entice our audience to want to join the program. Our objectives are for our own purpose, to educate students on the detrimental effects of plastic pollution on marine environments. So that is the objective of this program. We want to highlight the impacts. So a couple of things I wanted to highlight was and explain this opening statement. Already we're in character, okay? We didn't actually get on a boat. We didn't sail around the bay. We were on the foreshore and we all stepped single file, took off our shoes and stepped single file onto a big blanket. And we sat on the blanket for the duration of the program, which was, so our host set the scene. We were on the boat and really just used their explanation of things to, yeah, set the scene and make us feel like we were on a boat. It was very cleverly done. The safety brief was broken down as though we were on the boat. And before the program started, there was a bit of a true or false game. And this was a way of gauging what the group already knew about the impacts. So questions that, I believe the questions are down here. So yeah, these questions add a bit of shock value. So they're about statistics that make people go, whoa, I didn't realize that, you know, that much plastic was used or went into the ocean, or yeah, it provides a bit of shock value, grabs their attention, and also gauges what they know and what they're aware of. So then that leads into the first point. So the first point is focused around Port Phillip Bay. Port Phillip Bay being the region that we're looking at, and this is a broad bit of information about the area. So the rivers and creeks that flow into the bay, the size of the area, and I guess explaining that it's a very busy and populated area. So painting a really clear picture about Port Phillip Bay as a large general area. The final statement here is an example of somewhat a transition statement, but talking about litter and other pollutants that wash into stormwater drains and other cigarette butts, detergents. So this final sentence in the first point leads really well into the second point, which is highlighting the issue of plastic. So this big area of Port Phillip Bay, then moving into this big issue of plastic, and then the last statement here is linking plastic to marine environments, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which then leads into the third point, which is linking those two together, plastic in the marine environment. And this is where the program moves into this specific location, the animals that are affected, Port Phillip Bay and plastic, the issue tied together, affecting dolphins, affecting bird life. So really linking those first 2 points into this third point, where there's a bit of detail about those impacts. And then a nice little wrap up, conclusion, take-home message: to understand the detrimental effects of plastic and pollution in our marine environments, reduce, reuse, refuse, recycle, and to be a pioneer in plastic reduction and help educate others. So this program wrapped up with a take 3 for the sea. We all wandered around the beach and picked up 3 pieces of rubbish of plastic. So that's just one example of an interpretation program. Okay, so this is something that, although you won't have an audience with you, I want you to paint the picture as though you do. Talk to the camera as though it's an audience. In your script, you can talk about how you would engage or run a true or false game, or some sort of activity. All right, guys, out in this area in front of us, there's 3 animals hiding. I want you to all go out and search for them. And maybe you send the group off, and the 3 animals are found. And so you move from one. All right, Tommy found our echidna. Let's all go over and see this echidna that Tommy's found, and you talk about it, and then you move to the next. So you can use activities to really engage an audience, and so you can incorporate that into your script. I would do this, I would do that. But essentially, yeah, obviously this was a program that we did in person, so you'll adapt it and do it differently. But I just wanted to show you, especially the theme, really clear example of what we're looking for. So that is essentially the next task. Like I said, I want you to get started by next week, next check-in session. I want you to have, first of all, chosen whether you're doing it at your YMCA camp or the allocated region. You can email me today and let me know. Secondly, before next week's session, I want you to have your key purpose to your program and your 3 key points. So your topic, your purpose, and your 3 key points. Okay, now these may change as you keep developing your program, but yeah, I want to know you are planning and thinking about it, and yeah, beginning the process. Okay, so that essentially is the main crux of what we went over yesterday. And yeah, any questions, please email me, and I'm happy to answer any questions. All right, hope that helps, and I'll chat soon. All right, have a good weekend.